ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਆਦ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਚੱਕਰ ਚਿਹਨ ਅਰ ਵਰਨ ਜਾਤ ਅਰ ਪਾਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀਹ ਰੂਪ ਰੰਗ ਅਰ ਰੇਖ ਪੇਖ ਕੋ ਕਹਿ ਨ ਸਕਤ ਕੇਹ ਅਚਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਨਪੋ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਸ਼ ਅਮਿਤ ਤੋਜ ਕਹਿਜੈ ਕੋਟ ਇੰਦਰ ਇੰਦਰਾਨ ਸਾਹਿ ਸਹਾਨ ਗਨਿਚੈ ਤ੍ਰੇਪਵ ਮਹੀਪ ਸੁਰ ਨਰ ਅਸੁਰ ਨੇਤ ਨੇਤ ਬਨ ਤ੍ਰਿਨ ਕਹਿਤ ਤਵੈ ਸਰਬ ਨਾਮ ਕਥੈ ਕਵਨ ਕਰਮ ਨਾਮ ਬਰਨਤ ਸਮਤ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਖੜਗ ਕੋ ਕਰੋ ਸੁਹਿਤ ਚਿਤ ਲਾਏ ਪੂਰਨ ਕਰੋ ਗਿਰੰਥ ਇਹ ਤੁਮ ਮਮ ਕਰੋ ਸਹਾਏ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਸਿੰਧ ਤੁਮਰੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਜੋ ਕਛ ਮੋਹ ਪਰ ਹੋਏ ਰਚੋ ਚੰਡਕਾ ਕੀ ਕਥਾ ਬਾਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਭ ਸਭ ਹੋਏ ਮੂਕ ਉਚਰੈ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਖਟ ਪਿੰਗ ਗਿਰਨ ਚੜ ਜਾਏ ਆਂਦ ਲਖੈ ਬਦਰੋ ਸੁਨੈ ਜੋ ਕਾਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਾਏ ਕਹਾਂ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤਿਹਾਰੀ ਹਮ ਨਾ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ ਹਮ ਨਾ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਅਪਾਰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। It is a blessed kirpa of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. We're sitting here in this virtual Katha Darbar. ਆਓ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਬਿਰਤੀਆਂ ਇਕਾਗਰ ਕਰੋ. Let's bring our focus together and let's say the blessed Fateh of Kalgidar Pita Ji. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, in the previous parikrama, in the previous divans, we went through the first two chands, the first two podiyan of Bhujang Priyat Chand. We ended off with Namastwang Anupe, where Guru Sahib says, I do namaskar to that Paramatma, to that Parameshwar, to that Vaiguruji, who is Anupe. Anupe meaning someone you cannot do the upma of, unupama. Just the upma nahi ho sakdi. Anupe means that person you cannot compare anything in the sansar to, because anything you try to compare with will not equal up to that Parameshwar. Anupe meaning like no other. Paramatma, there is no one like you. Is karke meri namaskar hai. This is where we ended off last time. Today we'll pick up from there. And I will humbly request everyone if they can mute their mics before we continue. Manao Saad Sangat ji, our man bitti ekagar karke ਆਖਣਾ ਕਰੋ ਜੀ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਪੇਖੇ Guru Sahib says apekhe. The word apekhe has a couple different definitions. The first letter ada is Nikedavachik. Nikedavachik means it's going to whatever is the word that's preceding the ada, the word that is coming after the ada, it'll be the opposite what it means. When we look at the word pekhe, in Sanskrit the word pekhe means pesh, it means labas, it means some sort of identifications that define a person's cultural background, religious background, community backgrounds. When someone wears a libas, someone wears a peak, someone wears a certain type of garments that are associated with a certain culture, a certain community, the world when they see that person wearing those type of garments will come to some conclusion, some assumption that this person must be related to this organization, this religion, this community. For example, as Sikhs, we wear the Sikha, the peak, we wear the libas, the garments that are associated with our culture, with our community, with our panth. Guru Sahib has given us the bana. When someone sees his bana, if they're aware of the Sikh tenements, if they're aware of the Sikh articles of faith, they will see that this person is a Guru Sikh, this person belongs to the Khalsa community. So the peak, the labas that we wear, the garments that we wear that are associated with a community allow others to recognize who we are. A police officer has their own garments. A firefighter has their own garments, and these are standard garments. These are standard set of clothes that every police officer, every firefighter will wear. And because of its standardization, someone perceiving that standardization in the form of clothes can then come to some kind of assumption that this person must be associated with some sort of organization. Maharaj, to see a pekeo, remember the ada now negates the word peke, which means that Maharaj, you have no pek, you have no labas. Because remember, Jaap Sahib is the Ustad of Akal Purakh Vaheguru. It's the Ustad of Nirgun Parameshwar. It's the Ustad of that Parameshwar that does not come into the expansion that's around us. It's the Ustad of that Parameshwar whose hond does not exist within the three gunzamaya that we see around us. Remember, the three gunzamaya is everything we can see around us. This is Sargun Parameshwar. The Ustad that Guru Sahib is doing here is in Gyan Avastha. We have talked about this in the previous episode, so I won't be going into it too deep, but just to give a refreshment. There's two forms of avasthas. There's Gyan Avastha and there's Bhakti Avastha. When someone does Ustata Paramatma, where they say, hey, there's only you, there's nothing besides you, it's only oneness, singularity, Advat. When that concept is going on, then it is Gyanavastha. When someone does Ustata Paramatma by saying, hey, there's me and there's you, there's Sikh and there's Guru, there's two. When the form of duality comes in, Dvat, then it is Bhakti. Because Bhakti can only be done in two. There's us and there's Paramatma. We're worshipping Paramatma. We're surrendering to Paramatma. Then eventually someone can also reach the avastha of Gyan where they just see oneness, where they see that I never existed, it was only Paramatma. So there's two sides of the coin. There's two ways of presenting this this concept of worship and devotion. And those two sides is Sargun and Nirgun. Here, Guru Sahib is talking about the straightly Nirgun form of Paramatma, that form of Paramatma that is talked about in Jnanavastha, where there is only oneness. And in that oneness, they're saying, you are a Pekhe. You have no form. You have no labas. You have no garments that you wear that someone can look at you and point at you and say, you know what, you belong to this community. Because a Pek has many positives. But in this philosophy that Guru Sahib is sharing with us, they're saying that Pek is associated with limitation. Because if you're wearing one type of Pek, you're wearing one type of garment, then you're only associated with that one type of community. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj went to Makkah, Makkah, Medina is a Hajj that people of the Islam faith do a pilgrimage, Hajj mini pilgrimage, that the people of the Islam faith commit to. Medina is the Shahr, Medina is a city in the Arab Desh. The Makkah is the Asthan, is the place. Within the Makkah, Medina, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to that yatra, when they went on to their travels, they wore a certain type of garment that confused people. When people saw the garment, they had a shawl that had Arabic scriptures on it. And their bana, their chola that they wore, was notably from the world, the Tarti of India. So when people saw this combination of the two, Indian clothes and Islamic clothes, they were confused. They were confused. They were saying, "Who are you? Which branch of religion do you stem from? What organization, what community are you associated with?" They were confused because the pay Khada Guru Nanak Dev Ji wore was both, was related to both Hinduism and Islam. In that same way, Paramatma is a pekhe. They're not wearing any pek associated with any community, because if they were, then that will limit them to just that one community. Because they're a pekhe, they now can be associated by everyone. In Akal Sat, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj builds upon this point and they say, Allah Kharoop Achha Anapekha Rag Rang Jeh Roop Na Rekha. Ke He Paramatma, Tere Jera Roop hai, oh alakha, it can't be seen. Because it can't be seen, you're unpekha. You're not wearing any peaks. Another way of looking at labas, another way of looking at this word pek, this transitional garment, is that the garment of the human body. Ki Maharaj, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੇਖਾ ਤੋਂ ਬਨੇ ਹੋ, meaning ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੂਨਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਂਦੇ. ਤੁਸੀਂ, you don't wear the clothes of different Junes. You're Akal Roop. You're outside of the 84 lakh June. You're outside that reincarnation cycle. संकट नहीं परੈ जोन नहीं आवै नाम निरंजन जाको रे कबीर को स्वामी ऐसो ठाकुर जाकै माई na bapo re. But Kabir Ji says that my Thakur, my Swami, is that master that has no mom and has no dad, does not come into this June cycle. Jon nahi aave, does not come into the cycle that we're in. Apek. Namastang apekhe. हे परमात्मा, मेरी नमस्कार है तेनू, तू अपेखे आ, तेरे को कोई लिबास नहीं है. Now, another way of looking at this word, apekhe, instead of taking the ada and putting it to one side and pekhe on the other side, what you can do is you combine two words. You combine the Ada and pabba together, ab, and then what's left is the la and the kake la. The la equates into ed la because ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਨੀ ਉਹ ed ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਨਿਕਲਦੀ ਹੈ ed ਲਾਂ ਨਾਲ. When we take Santhya, these things become clear that each Lagamatra has their own physical form where it's paired up with a letter. Because the vowel is making a noise with a letter or because of a letter. So when you do that kind of fragmentation of this word, apeke, what you'll get is ab eke. When we break the word apeke into two parts, you get ab on the left side, eke on the right side. Now, ab means hirda. Ab means hirda. Eke means ichha. Ab in Sanskrit means hirda. Eke means ichha. Ab eke. What that means is that every heart has the ichha of finding Paramatma. Whether they label it as finding Paramatma or not, they might label it as finding yourself. They might label it as finding the universe. They might label it as finding happiness. But in truth, happiness equals Paramatma. In truth, yourself, your real self equals Paramatma. In truth, universe equals Paramatma. So everything that the whole world is striving to, whether they're Gnostic or Astic, Astic means that they have some type of Shraddha in a higher divine being. Gnostic means that they don't. Whether they're atheists or they're people of faith, it is besides the point. They all have the same desire within their hearts, which is to find Paramatma. Siddh Sadik Tarsehe Sab Loe. Guru Sahib ਕਹਿੰਦੇ, the Siddhs, the Sadiks, those Siddhs who have made it, those people who have achieved so much, they have done so much tapasya, they have achieved so much throughout their body. Those people, and then the sadiks are the people like us who are doing sadhana, who are doing their name, who are the jagyasus. Jagyasu means jagandi aas rakhan wale, jagyasu. Those people that have the desire to wake up. Because they have the desire to wake up, they have the desire to find themselves, they have the desire to find Paramatma. Those people are called sadiks. Those people are doing sadhana. Mara says the people that have made it and the people that are trying to make it. Tarsehe sab loe. Loe means the world. The whole world, tarsareya. The whole world has this desire within their hearts to find Paramatma. Whether they're a saint or whether they're just trying to become a saint. Siddh Sadik tarsehe sab loe. The whole world, no matter where you are in your spectrum, everyone's looking for the same thing. Whether we call it happiness, we call it something else, we're all looking for Paramatma. We're all looking for Vaheguru. But Mara says, Pura Pag Prapat Hoye. But the only way to achieve that Paramatma is through Pure Pag. It's through a complete destiny. The only way we can achieve Paramatma is Satgur Prasad. The only way we can achieve Paramatma is if Maharaj does Kirpa themselves. So ab ek hai. Saare de hirde vich ek ichha hegi hai. Everyone in their hearts has the same desire of meeting Paramatma. Namastang alekhe. We'll go on to now the next word, alekhe. The word namastang will stay, the artha namastang will stay the same, which means namaskar hai tenu. Namas meaning namaskar, tang meaning twannu. Hey Paramatma meaning namaskar hai tannu. And then Guru Sahib, then the next pad, the next shabad, the next word to describe that quality of that Nirgun Paramatma, that quality of Akal Purkh, that quality of that Parmeshwar in Gyan Sarup. Here now they're talking about alekhe. Alekhe. If we look at the word lekhe in Punjabi, lekhe means कोई लेखा, कोई हिसाब, कोई गिनती, some sort of calculations, कोई लिखत, कोई तहरीर। This is ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਅਰਥ ਲੇਖੇ। ਭਾਵ ਕਿ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਂਦਾ। You don't come into any sort of calculations. You don't come into any sort of ginti minti. For that reason, you are beyond. You are limitless. You have no limit because a limit can be put by numbers. If I say this house has 500 acres, there's a limit now. It's only bounded by this much property. If I say the distance between here and the UK is X amount of miles, X amount of kilometers, then again, there is a limit. One day, if you start traveling, that limit will end. It's not limitless. Paramatma has no lekhe, Paramatma has no hisab, no ginti, no numbers. Therefore, they're infinity. Therefore, they're limitless. Because they're limitless, their guns are limitless as well. तेरे नाम अनेका रूप अनंता कह ना जाई तेरे गुण कीते Guru Sahib, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj says कि हे परमेश्वर वाहिगुरु तेरे गुण अनेक है। You have countless guns. You have countless guns. Because you have countless guns, you are forever and ever Dayalu. You are forever and ever Kripalu. You are forever and ever compassionate. Because you're the manifestation of all the guns they are, all the virtues they are. You are the manifestation, and you have limitless amounts of virtues. Because you have limited amounts of virtues, whoever you touch, whoever's heart you touch, they also become limitless in virtues. They also become limitless in virtues. But the technique of becoming that person that Paramatma touches is this. A tree branch that has no fruits stands high and strong. But a tree branch that has many fruits on the branch will always be low and on the near the floor. What the example shows us is that Nimirta. Nimirta is the first step of becoming that person who Maharaj touches, of becoming that person who Maharaj fills up. Because if we're khali, if we're empty, only then will Paramatma walk around and be like, you know what? There's an empty pot here. Let me fill it up. तेरे गुण बहुते मैं एक ना जानिया मैं मूर्ख किश दीजै हे महाराज मैं एक मूर्ख हाँ I'm filled with such अहंकार किछ दीजै मैनू कोई गुण दे दो प्रणवत नानक सुन मेरे साहिबा डुबदा पत्थर लीजै Pranavata Nanak means, hey Maharaj, I pray, I do ardas. This is my prayer to you. Dubda pathar lijai. This pathar, this rock, dubriya. This rock is sinking. Rocks sink because of their density. Their density is higher than the density of water. Meaning, when we're filled with hankar, we will sink into this world ocean. We will keep sinking down. प्रणवत नानक सुन मेरे साहिबा हे मेरे साहिबा मेरी आवाज सुनो मेरी अरदास सुनो डुबदा पत्थर लीजा ਇਹ ਡੁੱਬਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਪੱਥਰ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਥਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ take this ਪੱਥਰ that's drowning and save it ਅਲੇਖੇ your Maharaj your guns are countless ਤੇਰੇ ਗੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਤੇਰੇ ਗੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਗੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ मैं एक गुण जानिया नहीं गा I have not experienced even one gun into myself even one virtue into myself मैं मूर्ख किश तीजा मैं एक मूर्ख हाँ मैनू कोई बख्शो मैनू कोई गुण बख्श दो because Maharaj is alekhe they also don't keep any hisab any calculations on their buckets when that person Maharaj makes their own what happens is that ਧਰਮ ਰਾਏ ਦਰ ਕਾਗਦ ਫਾਰੇ ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਲੇਖਾ ਸਮਝਾ ਧਰਮ ਰਾਏ ਧਰਮ ਰਾਏ ਹੈ ਦੇਵਤਾ there's a devta called Dharmaraj he sits in the court of Paramatma, and he delivers justice. He delivers Dharam. He's the Raja of Dharam. That's why they call him Dharamraj. When someone walks on the path of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they walk on the path of Guru Sikhi. They walk on this path of spirituality. When they become Paramatmas, what happens? Dharamrai, Dar Kagad Fare. Dar means in that darbar. In that darbar where he sits, he has all our lekha, he has all our calculations, he has all our hisab, he has everything counted up. And that moment we become Guru Nanak Dev Ji's, what happens? Oh sab kuch faar dinda. Dar kagad fare. He rips up all of those calculations in 1 second. Jan Nanak lekha samjha, because he recognizes ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਪੈ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. This Sikh is not going to come to me, he belongs to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they're so dayalu. Our Guru is not someone who stands with a stick in his hands, ready to beat us up. Our Paramatma is nirpo, nirvair. Our Paramatma has no vair with anyone, has no hate with anyone. Vair meaning koi vairta rakhni. Vair means having dosh to whack with someone, judging someone to be different than your own. That's what vair means. Nirvair. Paramatma doesn't see anyone as being different. They see everyone with one type of eyesight. The ear goes to everyone equally, whether they're a saint or they're a papi, whether they're a sadhu or whether they're a chor. The ear does not differentiate. It does not judge. In the same way, Paramatma doesn't judge. Alekhe. Paramatma keeps no calculations for their pyare. ਜਾਂ ਕੋ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਰੈ ਬਖਸ਼ੀਸ ਤਾਂ ਕਾ ਲੇਖਾ ਨਾ ਗਨੈ ਜਗਦੀਸ਼. ਜਿਸ ਉੱਤੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਖਸ਼ੀਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਆਪਣੇ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਜਾਂ ਕੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਰੈ ਬਖਸ਼ੀਸ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਤਾਂ ਕਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਲੇਖਾ, their ਲਿਖਤ, their book, their ਗਿਣਤੀ, ਨਾ ਗਨੈ. Gana means to count up. Jagdish, Jagat ਦਾ ਈਸ਼ਵਰ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲਿਖਤੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੇਖ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ. They omit all our ਗਲਤੀਆਂ, they put it all to one side. Another way of looking at this word alekha is going to be combining the two letters Ara and Lala together. You have Allah on one side and you have Ekhe on the other side. Again, Ekhe comes from the same, means the same thing we defined it as last time, meaning Ichama. Okay, Al here now means Purna, complete. Tripat, Trapaya gaya. These are all synonyms I'm using, which means completeness, satisfaction. Al meaning Purna, completeness. Ekha means Ichha. ਕਿ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਭਗਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਛਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹ ਸੰਪੂਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ. Maharaj completes any ਇੱਛਾਵਾਂ of their bhagats, any desires of their bhagats, they make sure they always stay complete. ਇੱਛਾ ਪੂਰਕ ਸਰਬ ਸੁਖ ਦਾਤਾ ਹਰ, ਜਾਂ ਕੈ ਵਸ ਹੈ ਕਾਮ ਧੇਨਾ. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਇਸ ਇੱਛਾ ਪੂਰਕ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇੱਛਾਵਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਭਗਤਾਂ ਦੀ, and we will have, definitely will have ਇੱਛਾਵਾਂ. When we walk on this path of Guru Sikhi, we walk in the path of Guru Sikhi as Gristis, most of us. We'll walk on the path of Sikhi living in this world. Because we walk on the path of Sikhi living in this world as Gristis, as people of this world, well then we'll have desires as well. We'll have desires as well because we're living in the world. Living in the world, we need food to eat, we need shelter, we need money to buy that food, we need a good job. And for that reason, we'll then have desires, worldly desires, you can say. Maharaj fulfills all the desires of a bhagat, whether it be worldly or it be spiritual. When Bhagat Kabir Ji says, Kar ki gi han changi, jan tanna lava mangi. When Bhagat Tanna Ji says, Ke dal, sita, mango kiyo, I ask from you these things. I ask for dal. I ask for kiyo. Kiyo means kiyo. I ask for all these padarats to eat because I need to eat. I need to keep my body going. I ask to become gristi. I ask for all these datta. But where I'm going to ask from? I'm going to ask from you. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਛਾ ਪੂਰਕ ਸਰਬ ਸੁਖ ਦਾਤਾ ਹਰ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੁੱਖਾਂ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਛਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ। ਜਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਵਸ ਹੈ ਕਾਮ ਤੀਨਾ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਸ ਕਾਮ ਤੀਨਾ ਗਊ, that there in the heavens is believed there's a cow called a Kam Tena. And the Kam Tena cow is believed to grant any wish that you want. Maharaj says that ਜਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਵਸ ਹੈ ਕਾਮ ਤੇਨਾ, ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ. That means that it's the Kam Tena only works under you. That means you are greater than that. So you can grant us any wish, any desire that any Bhagat has. We'll keep moving forward now. Namastang Akaye. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਮੇਰੀ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਕਾਏ ਹੋ. ਅਕਾਏ. The word ਅਕਾਏ means, well, the word ਕਾਏ means ਸਰੀਰ, ਕਾਇਆ, a day, a body. ਤੇ adding the add in front of it negates the word, ਕਿ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਰੀਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਰੀਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ. ਕਾਏ also means, if you ever seen in a swamp, there's a green type of algae that forms on top of the swamp. In Punjabi, ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ, we also call that kai as well, or kai. Maharaj, you're a kai. In spirituality, agyanta or avidya, not knowing who you are, param, home, is looked as algae. Is looked like is as if it's algae. Because algae just sits on top of the water. It is separate from the water, but it is so thin. In that same way, the soul is the water, is the water beneath the algae. And the home is the algae. It's so thin. Maharaj, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਗਾਏ ਹੋ. You have no home. You have no avidya. You are Gyan Swarup. You are the Swarup of enlightenment. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ home ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਅਵਿਦਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, you are the one that gives enlightenment. We're stuck in darkness. We're stuck in this algae. We're stuck in this home. We think we are. We call ourselves different things. We categorize ourselves in different categories. But Maharaj, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਕਾਏ ਹੋ. You are not. You have no home of yourself. You bless us to become mukt from our home. Sadgur Prasad. Sadgur Prasad means to become mukt from this home. ਅੱਗੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਜਾਏ. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਜਾਏ ਹੋ. ਜਾਏ means ਜਨਮ, ਉਤਪਤੀ. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਨਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਤੇ ਜਾਏ ਇਨ ਫਾਰਸੀ means ਕੋਈ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ, ਕੋਈ ਥਾਂ. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਕੋਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਿਵਾਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ. You are not limited to one place, one ਥਾਂ. ਤੂੰ ਸਭਨੀ ਥਾਈਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਈਂ, ਸਾਚਾ ਸਿਰਜਣਹਾਰ ਜੀਓ. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਥਾਵਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਸਦੇ ਹੋ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੱਚੇ ਸਿਰਜਣਹਾਰ ਹੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ. You are not in one place. ਅੱਗੇ, if we were to take this word ਅਜਾਏ and break into two like we did before, and make it aj aye. Aj means Brahma. ਕਿ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ, you are in the Nirgun Swarup Jnana Avastha, but sometimes you take the avastha, you take the form, the physical form to save your bhagats. You come in different forms to save the world. Sat jog te manyo, chalyo bala pavan payo. Maharaj, you came in the form of Satjug, in the form of Vishnu. Treta te manyo, Ram Raghuvans kahayo. In Treta Yug, you came in the form of Ram, from the Raghuvans clan. Dwapar Krishna Murar, Kans Kritarth Kiyo. In Dwapar, you came in the form of Krishna, and you saved, and you destroyed Kans. Ugrasen ko Raj, Apੈ Jan Pagtah Diyo. You gave the Raj to Ugrasen. Kaljug Paraman, Nanak Gur, Angad Amar Kahayo. And now in Kaljug you came in the form of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Angad Dev Ji, Guru Amar Das Ji, all the way to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. This is the way that you come into this world. You come to save the Bhagats. Har Jug Jug Bhagat Upaya, Paj Rakhta Aya Ram Raji. Every Jug you make your Bhagats, and every Jug you come to save your Bhagats as well. ਇੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਕਥਾ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਦੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਜੀ ਭੁੱਲ ਦੀ ਖਿਮਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਣੀ ਜੀ we'll say Fateh, then we'll go into questions and answers. We'll read the last two lines and then we'll go into questions and answers ji. Namastang apekhe, namastang alekhe, namastang kaye, namastang ajaye. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki Fateh. Satsang ji, I'll wait for your questions. And Adas will be right back, and I'll be looking forward to your questions. Just give me 1 minute. The question is, why did Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj say Anek hai, fir ek hai? Why did they say Anek hai first and then fir ek hai? Why isn't it the opposite way around? They say, what's the ramas behind it? What's the understanding behind this? Is this talking about his gun instead of his roop? Japji Sahib says ik, from ik he becomes O Ankar from too many, but Jaap says the opposite. Why is that? Also, it can't be due to either Vyakaran, which means grammar, because saying ik ha fir anik ha and anik ha fir ik ha has the same meter. So what is the ramas behind this? Okay, great question. That's a really good question, actually. The looks like the Sangat here has a really good background in terms of philosophy, grammar and stuff like that. That's really good. Okay, anek hai fir ek hai. One thing that comes to my mind is that Bhai Sabji ke ho sakta ki Guru Sahib is continuing on from Japji Sahib, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj said ek Oankar, where Maharaj goes from one to many. Guru Sahib is continuing that, saying that it goes from many to back to one. Kyunki that's what Dasam is, right? Dasam Bani is continuing the vichar of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. So that vichar of Nirgun Paramatma duplicated in Sargun Paramatma, Guru Sahib is saying that, well, that Sargun is going to go back to Nirgun one day as well. Jab Udkarak Kara Kartara. When Paramatma, Kartar, uses the Shakti of Udkarak. Udkarak means expansion. Parja Tarta Tab Dehi Apara. Guru Sahib makes such a big Parja. Parja means people, following, subjects. Parja Tart. Tart means Banaya. Tab Dehi Apara. Apar Det. De means body. Apar meaning countless. Countless bodies were created. कीड़ी बनाई, मच्छर बनाया, हाथी बनाया, शेर बनाया, ते फिर गऊ ਨੂੰ ਘਾਸ ਤੇ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਸ. He's feeding everyone what they need to be fed as well. Right? Now, जब कर करा कर तारा प्रजा तरत देह पर, ये ਗੱਲ होगी. जब आ करख, when Paramatma uses the Shakti of आ करखना, now that goes from फिर एक है, that goes from now back to one. जब आकर करत हों कब हों तुम मैं मिलत देह दर सब हूँ. All those days that you made, all those cities you made, now they will go back to you. तुम मैं मिलत, ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏ. So ਅਨੇਕ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਏਕ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਫਿਰ ਏਕ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ. Again and again. Okay, this is countless. How many times the Pasara have come? How many times have they gone? It's countless. There's so many stories. There's so many stories of how many times Paramatma has created the creation. If you look into Indian mythology, you look into the Purans, there's 18 types of Purans, and each type of Puran will talk about a different way of creation. Each type of Puran will talk about a different way of creation. One way to look at it is, okay, the concept is always the same. One Paramatma goes into two. Advait to Dvait. The concept is always the same. But to characterize that concept into different stories could serve two purposes in my mind. One, to teach people in a different way because everyone understands differently. Second is that maybe ਕਈ ਬਾਰ ਪਸਿਓ ਪਾਸਾਰਾ. ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਸਾਰਾ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਬਣਿਆ, ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਿਆ, ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਬਣਿਆ. And every time it was being made, it was just being made differently. Every time it was made differently. And for that reason, we have so many different sakis on how it was made, so many different stories on how it was made. I hope that answers the question. I'm really happy that everyone here is learning and enjoying the katha. And please don't be afraid to ask. That gives me understanding of how much you guys are taking away from this katha. What is even if something's being repetitive, please let me know so I can know not to repeat it again. And, so criticism is really good too. Criticism, if you guys can provide it, that'll be nice. ਹਾਂਜੀ. So ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ. There was something that we do have 5 minutes. There's something that we talked about before, Ajai, Brahma ji coming, Maharaj taking the different forms. One thing that comes to my mind is when Guru Sahib writes the Chobis Avtara, they write in the Chobis Avtara कि Id bid praja pavitra kar taryo brahm avatar. Why did Paramatma take these different avatars? Well, in this specific punkti, you're talking about the Brahma avatar, but Ita bid praja pavitra kar. Why have they come to make the parja, to make people, to make humanity pavitra again? So Guru Sahib comes in different forms to make humanity pavitra again. Taram karam lage sabha paap karam kahe dar. To take people away from paap and to put them on the path of taram again. To put them on the path of taram. Thank you, Bhai Sahib ji, Veer ji. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਵੀ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਪਏ ਹੋ and you're helping monitor this. ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜੀ। ਇੱਥੇ ਦਾਸ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਜੱਜ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਹੈ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।